fall off. Now they holler he'll turn, thinking I'ma sell out. Talking just to feel heard, I never listen, although they say it's strictly. Welcome to Quick Hits. I'm your host, Shannon Smith, aka Podcast Smitty. If you're new to the show, what's good? I'm Shannon. I'm a fan of sport, and Quick Hits is dropping weekly to discuss headlines in the field of sports. So if that's what you came here for, go ahead and give this video a like. Get into those comments. Let's talk some sports. But most importantly, go ahead and subscribe to the Boom Broadcasting YouTube channel and go through the plethora of podcasts that we have in the field of TV, movies, sports, and sports entertainment. Now, I'm a fan of a fan segment. I usually shout out podcasters, content creators that are friends of Boom Broadcasting, friends of ours, friends of some of our content creators that show support to the page. But this time around, I don't have a podcaster or a content creator that I'm going to shout out in this segment. I'm actually going to shout out all of you, whether it's friends, family, the Boom team, followers of the page. I want to say thank you for giving your boy Podcast Smitty some birthday wishes. I appreciate all of y'all, everyone that came out and bought gifts, some food, ate good, had a good time with the family, had a good time with friends, got some birthday wishes from some followers and friends of mine that are from across the state. I thank you guys so much for making me feel welcome on my birthday. You guys are great. I appreciate every one of you, and thank you so much. And the next shout out that I have is for everybody who supported this channel, Boom Broadcasting. We thank you all so much, but most importantly, we thank you for today, because today, July 1st, 2025, is the 1-year anniversary of Boom Broadcasting. Very excited. Thank you all so much for all of your support. Thank you for the follows. Thank you for getting into the comments of all our shows. Thank you for sharing the social media posts. Everything that you have done for Boom Broadcasting has been great. I got to give a shout out to my man Michael Davis. If it was not for him coming up to me and my man Mr. D at Dooley's Tavern in North Wilkesboro, North Carolina, I would have never had my own show. I would have never got into podcasting. I don't believe that I would have. But people like Michael Davis, who hear your sports conversations, come up and introduce themselves and say, hey, would you like to be a part of my podcast? I heard what you were saying. I think you'd be great. And then they actually do it. It was awesome. Met a great group of men, great group of brothers, guys that I enjoy and that I call good friends. Jason Colenso, Sean Lucas, Carson Williams, Aaron Schneider, Chris DeLuca, all of you great people. Wayne the Model Thomas, mouthing off with Mike. All of you great guys, thank you so much for making this podcast journey a great one. Many years to come for Boom Broadcasting. Congratulations to all of you fellas for what you've done. Every last one of you that are making content for this page, who are doing your thing. You guys are great. I'm thankful to be on this ride with you, and I pray that I continue to be on this ride with you. Fellas, salute. Thank you so much. Now, with that being said, what are we going to be talking about today? We're going to be talking about all the happenings in sports from this past week, because it is Fan of Sport Tuesday. I'll start off with my rapid fire segment, recapping some of the sports news that has went on over this past week. I went to the movies this weekend, and you're going to hear my thoughts on the Formula One movie. You're also going to hear my thoughts on Ace Bailey. Everybody's been talking about Ace Bailey, what was going on in the draft. I want to present a little something different. with this talking point here on Ace Bailey and what is going on with him before, during, and after the NBA draft. Jake Paul had another fight and he won again. Now he's talking about he wants a shot at a world championship. My thoughts on that coming up. And I want to present a little something different to you guys because while I was having lunch with my family, my dad brought up something and it got me thinking. So when people say that the sports season is in a dead period right now, I want to shed light on that topic to end the show. And that'll be all for today, as it'll be some great shows going on throughout the week as we celebrate year one of Boom Broadcasting today and throughout this week. But without further ado, let's start the show. All right, let's hit it and quit it. Let's go relax. It's all the sports headlines of the weekend in rapid succession. Get your minds out the gutter. We over here trying to have a good time. We ain't gonna spend too much time on these topics, so we will go ahead and go. We'll begin with soccer. Paris Saint-Germain beats Inter Miami 4-0 in the FIFA Club World Cup. This is where these big soccer clubs, these big time programs are coming to the United States, having this tournament here, and they're playing some of the best teams throughout the world. Some of the MLS teams are in this tournament here, and Inter Miami is one of those MLS teams. Of course, you know Lionel Messi plays for Inter Miami, and this is kind of a little grudge match for him, as he was a part of the Pierre Saint-Germain squad at one point in time, had a crazy front for him and Neymar being on that squad. PSG won the UCL championship for the first time this year, first time in a long time. It's about 20 years, I believe. They ended up winning it. And in this game here, they dominated 4-0, beating Inter Miami squad. PSG on their CM Punk 2011 run, feeling like they're the best in the world. And they proved that. I figured this game would have been a whole lot better. I didn't think it would have been a shutout. But PSG is a great squad. They won the UCL championship 6-0. One of the most dominant wins in UCL history. They were able to accomplish that this year. Congratulations to PSG as they move on in the FIFA Club World Cup. And then we go to the UFC, the Octagon 317's main event. Ilia Topuria versus Charles Oliveira. It resulted. Now, before we get to that result, Ilia Topuria said to everybody it's going to be a first-round knockout. He already had a championship dinner, already celebrating. Everybody was looking at him like, dude, you haven't even fought the match yet. It took 2 minutes and 27 seconds, and Ilia El Matador Topuria won by first-round knockout, beat Charles Oliveira, becomes the 10th two-weight champion in UFC history and the first fighter to do it as an undefeated fighter. He's 17-0. Go look up that knockout. What a right hook that was, landing flush on Charles Oliveira's chin, knocking him out cold. Ilia Topuria, the undisputed lightweight champion on Saturday night. What a win that was for him. And this week, and actually for the next 2 weeks, we got Wimbledon 2025 going on. They're underway. They began yesterday, and they'll be running it for a couple of weeks. Kicking it off right now. It's going to be some good tennis. Barbara Krejcikova. Ha, got that right, Barbara. Krejcikova and Carlos Alcaraz look to defend their championships, as this is the third of the four majors for men's and women's tennis. I became a fan of Carlos Alcaraz after that showdown that he had in the French Open with the Italian Yannick Sinner. That was an epic matchup. Loved it. I enjoyed it. Jason Colenso even talked about it on Three from Deep. It was that good. So yes, Wimbledon beginning this week. Going to be running until the 13th of July. Going to be interesting. It's going to be fun. Keep it locked on some tennis. Make sure that you watch that. And now, going into college, we got some expansion in the Pac-12. Texas State joining the Pac-12 as of yesterday. The Bobcats will be joining the Pac-12 in the 2026-2027 season. They will finish out their last year in the Sun Belt Division this upcoming season. They will be joining Boise State, Colorado State, Fresno State, Gonzaga, San Diego State, and Utah State going to the Pac-12. They will be joining Washington State and Oregon State. They were the last two remaining schools in the original Pac-10. They stayed around, and now they're being joined by 5 new teams. This is going to be interesting, as the Pac-12 already locked down their TV rights for the next 5 years. They're going to be running into 2030, 2031, I believe. And now they have an FBS conference, as they satisfied the requirements as an 8 team, as they have 8 teams to play football. Gonzaga's not going to be playing. They're not joining for football. They don't have a football team. They're joining for college basketball. So that is going to be interesting in the Pac-12 as they get a boost. No more Pac-2. So we've got the Pac-8 right now. So there may be more coming. There might be more. It's a possibility. And in the world of horse racing, the death of Wayne Lucas is being mourned by the horse racing community, passing away at 89 years old. What a storied and long career for Wayne Lucas. They called him coach. I found this out. They called him coach because before he got into horse training, he coached basketball. So that was actually pretty cool. They called him coach for the longest time. Although he didn't coach basketball, he went into horse training. He trained. He's a Hall of Fame horse trainer, and he has 15 Triple Crown victories all time, which I believe is the most. So unfortunately, rest in peace to Wayne Lucas. What a long life he lived, a storied career that he had. Congratulations on all your success, sir, but rest in peace. And to end this segment here, we have some auto racing going on Saturday and on Sunday as the Atlanta Motor Speedway for NASCAR. Chase Elliott capturing the checkered flag at the Quaker State 400 in Atlanta, passing Brad Keselowski. Actually, a really good race as it was rainy. There was some chaos in the race, but Chase Elliott passing Brad Keselowski on the final lap to get the win. That was win number 20 for Chase Elliott, and also it helped earn him a spot in the NASCAR playoffs, winning it in his home state of Georgia. The light rain caused the first caution, and then later on a crash involving 7 drivers. Made for a real sloppy race in Atlanta, but congratulations to Chase Elliott on the victory. And in Formula One racing, this past Sunday was a big day for McLaren, as Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri going 1 and 2 in the MCS Cruises Australian Grand Prix. Big wins for Lando Norris. Oscar Piastri is the leader in points for Formula One, but Lando Norris breathing down his neck, looking for a championship himself, but it looks like the McLaren squad will enjoy a 1-2 finish. Some great points there for both of the drivers. Unfortunately, Kimi Antonelli, the rookie for the Mercedes team, was penalized for next week's British Grand Prix. He's going to have 3 spots. He's going to have to go down 3 spots, regardless of where he qualifies, after the lap 1 collision he had with my man, Max Verstappen, knocking them both out of the race. And it happened on turn 3. Unfortunate for my man, Max Verstappen. Unfortunate for Kimi Antonelli, as a penalty will be handed out. Max Verstappen not able to continue his streak of points in 30-some races. I believe it was 31 races. I believe it stopped at 31 after that collision. And IndyCar had the break this week. They will be returning. They'll be back in action with the Grand Prix of Mid-Ohio this coming Sunday. We are going to take a break before we get into these main topics for today. But keep it locked here on Quick Hits. And welcome back. Let's get into these main topics into the show today. Now, listen. I know everybody's heard about Ace Bailey. He's the 5th pick in the draft to the Utah Jazz. He said he wasn't going to work out for the Hornets, wasn't going to work out for the Jazz. He declined workouts with other teams. And when he got drafted, of course, Adam Silver had a bigger grin than he did. He looked like he wasn't enjoying it. Now, there's been people with emotions talking about Ace Bailey should be happy. He should be thankful that he's in the league. There were other players that were so overcome with emotions in the draft. You saw tears of joy from players, tears of joy from families. And you just see Ace Bailey up there with a look on his face like he didn't want to be here. Now, I know that there are people out there that said that Ace Bailey should have a better attitude being drafted. There was people out there laughing, saying that Ace Bailey thought that he was in my career mode on 2K, talking about, hey, I want to play for this team and I want to play for that team, and thinking that was going to happen. There were people saying that. I don't know if that's really true, if he felt that way. That's a funny joke. It is. But I'm not here to talk about the logistics and all that other stuff. Everybody knows. We've read it. Ace Bailey flew into Utah this weekend, talked about he's blessed to be here, all that stuff. You know, you can say one thing and you can do another. What I'm here to talk about right now, and I want to pose these questions to you. Do you think that Ace Bailey had a change of heart? Do you think that Ace Bailey should have just kept his mouth shut? Shouldn't have said too much? Maybe he should have just faked it. Should he have done that? What really went on with Ace Bailey when he was drafted? In my opinion, the way I look at it, I think Ace Bailey might have had a change of heart. I think he might have realized, hey, you know, maybe this is a blessing for me. Although it was reported that Ace Bailey would have rather went to the Washington Wizards instead of going to the Utah Jazz. He didn't want to be drafted by the Hornets. He didn't want to be drafted by the Sixers, anything like that. He thought he was going in the first 3 picks. Of course, the first 2 picks were figured out already. Everyone knew who was going to be pick 1 and 2. So the 3rd pick was a toss-up. And Ace Bailey thought that that's where he was going to go. And it did not happen. But Ace Bailey, very big talent coming out of Rutgers. Very explosive forward at 6'8", very good college player. And this draft was riddled with freshmen. He was one of those sensational players that was going to be picked inside of the lottery. But looking at it, I think Ace Bailey might have had a change of heart. I I think it is one of those things where maybe he thought he was going somewhere and then come to find out he wasn't. Maybe he was feeling that, hey, I'm better than some of these other guys and I should have went here. Players have that thought pattern in their minds. Hey, maybe I was better than him or I was better than them. I should have went here. But Ace Bailey might have felt that way, saying that he wanted to go here because there was an opportunity for him to get a shoe deal and that his shoe would sell better here. You know, we haven't got into that yet. We don't know if you're going to get a shoe deal, my friend. So you might want to chill on that. So Ace Bailey, you know, he's a young guy. He'll have some growing up to do. And let me tell you, if there's some place that will make you grow up, it is the NBA. Professional sports have a way of making guys understand that they're not the best yet. You're playing the cream of the crop right here. And Ace Bailey might have got him some points taken away from the Utah Jazz, although Danny and Austin Ainge drafted him. Maybe so. But that doesn't mean that you're guaranteed to stay here. Doesn't mean that you're going to be the franchise guy. You may be, you may not be. And you know, with that attitude there, when it comes down to trading, teams may not want you. Teams may decide to pass on you because of this attitude here. But with Ace Bailey saying the things and doing these things, hopefully he didn't make his career harder. Hopefully he didn't ruin his career by his thoughts being out loud. Because he might have been thinking that inside of his head, but it was into fruition. And now his thoughts are out there and he can't hide them. So we'll see what happens here with Ace Bailey. Will the Utah Jazz let him go? Will he sit out on the Utah Jazz? We're going to be seeing as the summer goes on. And now we go into my trip to the movies. Now, Formula One, the movie dropped last Thursday. Now, I saw the movie this weekend, and I think it's worth talking about. Now, before we get into that, from the time I was born until I would say about last year, there were two things that I knew about Formula One racing. First things first, if your last name is Andretti, you're more than likely going to become a race car driver. And number two, Michael Schumacher is the GOAT of Formula One racing. That's all I knew. Now, I got into Formula One racing after last year. I did a quick hits episode, and I included Max Verstappen and his dominance of the sport in the past 4 years, winning 4 straight Formula One championships. Now, I went back and I looked into the season. I started looking up Formula One. I started watching some of these races, and I got into it. I got hooked. Max Verstappen is one of my favorite drivers in Formula One. He is my favorite. I like some guys in there. Lewis Hamilton, he's pretty good. Oscar Piastri, very good racers. Formula One is pretty dope. So I was like, okay, that's great. But I had no idea that a movie was in the works, let alone coming out. So when the movie dropped, I was like, I had to go see it. Now, not going to spoil the movie, but I'm going to give you a little bit of backdrop on the movie. Brad Pitt is the star. He is Sonny Hayes, a former Formula One driver who was looking to have a promising career in the sport. He had a tragic wreck in the 1993 Spanish Grand Prix. He suffered injuries and it ended his career. He ended up ruining his marriage, became a compulsive gambler, and he's a racer for hire. He's just chasing the thrills in the movie. And after winning the GTD class of the 24 Hours of Daytona, his former Lotus teammate Ruben Cervantes, played by Javier Bardem, approached him about racing for his team APXGP in an effort to keep the team from being sold. And after 30 years away from Formula One racing, Hayes comes back to the sport he thought that he would never see again. I thought this was a very good movie. I enjoyed it. I'm actually going to go back and see it again, maybe sometime this week. I liked it. Very good group of characters. The young man that played Joshua Pierce, I like him. He was awesome in that movie. Joshua Pierce being the upstart rookie, had the little cocky attitude with Brad Pitt's character, Sonny Hayes. It was great. There's stories inside the story. They have one of the very first tech engineers, very first female tech engineers in Formula One in the movie, had one of the pit crew members who changed the tires. She was having an internal battle with herself in the movie. So there were stories inside of stories. And I like the way that it turned out. So it was worth seeing. Now, will this movie try to bring new fans of Formula One? As someone who's just getting into Formula One racing, I like the idea that this movie would do that. There were some things over the top in the movie, but of course, it's a movie. What do you expect? They're not going to depict everything as the sport goes. It's hard to do inside of a movie. You've got to be able to sell the movie. You got to add a little sauce to it. You can't just tell the story how it would be. So you've got Formula One fans out there probably saying, well, that never happens in Formula One. Of course it doesn't. It's a daggone movie. What do you expect? So you're not going to get everything right inside of the movie, but you got to get it close. Of course, you have to make it realistic enough for a Formula One fan to be like, okay, I can see that happening. Or a Formula One fan looking at it and saying, all right, that's not going to happen, but I get it. So you got to make it relatable to a Formula One fan, but you also have to be relatable to people who know movies, people who watch movies. You need a good story. You need good action inside of the movie. So it's very important that that happen. And of course, Formula One, the movie, had that. Go see the movie if you're interested in it, or if you just like a good movie. Go and see Formula One, the movie. I thought it was great. I'm going to go see it again. Then we're going to talk about Jake Paul. Jake Paul won again this past Saturday. Jake Paul fought Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. in the main event of the evening on the Zone. That's the same fight. That's the same mobile app, also, TV app that has all your sports on there. They've got soccer on there, but they do a lot of boxing and a lot of your combat sports. And of course, this was a boxing match right here. Jake Paul won by unanimous decision over Chavez Jr. and made some bold proclamations in his press conferences, stating that he wanted to fight for the cruiserweight title. Ironically, that title was defended that night, and that was a pretty good fight. I got to watch it. Now, with all of Paul's fights being a collection of non-professional fighters and fighters who have been past their primes, Paul did get into the ring with a fighter. Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. was a former middleweight champion. He fought professionally. He was a professional fighter. So Jake Paul's cries for get into the ring with a professional fighter, he did that. Unfortunately, his only loss that he's ever had was to Tyson Fury's brother. That was the first fight that he actually lost. But many of the fights that he has had, if you've watched any of Jake Paul's fights, you'll know that some of his fights have been against guys who were not professional fighters. Now, Jake Paul fights and trains with professionals, but he gets into the ring with guys that have not boxed that long or are past their prime or just plain old. Jake Paul, to me, I understand the game that he's playing. He is promoting these fights and he's being a fight promoter. Of course, I get that, and that is fine with me. That's cool playing the game. I understand that from a business standpoint. But to be a championship contender, You have to get in the ring with guys who are fighters. And Jake Paul did get into a ring with a guy who's a fighter, but the guy's getting ready to turn 40. He's had his trouble with substance abuse. He's over his weight. His older days are getting farther away from his younger days. I know Chavez wanted to take that fight, but watching that fight, Chavez did not let his hands go until round 9. Round 9, round 10 is when he started to box. During that time, it looked like he was throwing the fight, but then wanted to make the fight interesting by later on fighting. Ridiculous. Ridiculous. I'm kind of hoping that Jake Paul gets into a ring with a guy that is actually his age and in shape to win a championship. I would love to see that, but I don't think we're going to. I think Jake Paul is here to make money. I don't know if he's a legit fighter. I don't see that happening. Hopefully he proves me wrong, but I don't see it. But until we get into the last segment, let's take a quick break, and we'll be right back with more quick hits. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and close out the show with this final thought right here. Now, it was Sunday. Yep, it was Sunday. I was having dinner with my family. It was my idea. Let's go ahead and have dinner together right after church. We had dinner. And of course, we talked about everything. We talked about life. We had a good time. We joked around. We laughed, had some great times as a family will do. Well, my dad brought up something, and I'm not disrespecting my dad in any way, shape, or form, but he did bring up something that I do want to talk about. He talked about, well, sports is kind of in a dead period right now. And before I started doing a podcast, I used to think the same thing. Because, of course, right now we're in summer. It is right now the tail end of June. We're going into July right now. We're going into July. We've got baseball on There's a lot of baseball on. Then, of course, you have other sports out there that are on. But some of these sports might not be so appealing to other people. You've got your NBA people out there that miss basketball season. Oh, man, I want to see the NBA. I want to see the NBA. And then you've got your NFL people who are ready for NFL season to begin. So you have people that say, we're in a dead period of sports right now where the only thing is on is baseball. I'm here to say, ridiculous. Ridiculous. And here's why I say this. Because that's a slap in the face to baseball. Now, I'm a firm believer that not everybody out there is like me who is a fan of sport. You may like one sport and that's it. You have all the right in the world to feel that way. I get it. But for you to say that sports is in a dead period, you're disrespecting the other sports out there that are appealing. What you really mean to say is that your favorite sports are in a dead period. And they're not in a dead period. Your favorite sports are just on holiday. They'll be right back. So there is no need to disrespect the other sports just because your favorite sport is not there. I'm a big fan of football and a big fan of basketball. I enjoy hockey as well, too. But for you to say no football is on, that's not true. You got the Canadian League on. Now, I know not everybody likes the Canadian League. I get it. But that is football. For my people out there to say there's no basketball on, I get it. There's no college basketball. There's no NBA. But I'm doing a Friday show on the WNBA. Go watch that. Go watch some basketball. Give it a shot. There's other sports out there. Give them a shot. Watch those sports. Learn about them. It's not that bad. But for those out there who feel like sports is in a dead period, this is a time where you can take a break from the TV. Go ahead and get outside. Go do some things outside. Go do some things with your families. I know you're probably going to lock yourself in a room and watch football away from your family when football season begins. But now you got a chance to get to know your family a little more. Some of you guys out there watching football till you're comatose. You don't even know what your kids look like. Go out there and enjoy time with your kids. Enjoy time with your spouse. If you don't have either of the above, spend time with the rest of your family. This is coming from a guy who's a fan of sport. Go see your family. Go do some chores. Clean your house maybe. Get a new hobby. Learn to cook. Learn to sew. Learn a skill that you want to learn. Learn something effective. Get into the gym. Do a little bit of exercising. Probably find you a good book to read. Your favorite sports will be back. I promise. It is a dead period of sports to you. Then do me a favor and go do something constructive with your life. Don't worry. Your sports will be back. Or also, too, get into some of these sports that are in here right now. Watch my podcast. I'll take you through some sports that you can watch. Easy enough. But don't go knocking the other sports just because your favorite sports are not on TV. Go out there and enjoy your life. Enjoy yourself. Enjoy your family. Go out there and be great. And that is our show. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for being in attendance. Congratulations to Boom Broadcasting. 1 year down, many more to go. Make sure you watch my constituents out there, the other podcasters, the other content creators. Make sure you are. Most importantly, welcome back, Michael Davis. Thank you for having me on Out of Pocket yesterday. Thank you so much, my man. I'll make sure to get this podcast to you to where you can upload it at 12 p.m. like you didn't last week because it was my bad for fumbling the rock. But I thank you so much, my man. Thank you guys for watching. Enjoy yourselves. Enjoy this week. I'll be back on Friday with the WNBA, so make sure you keep it locked here on Boom Broadcasting and on Quick Hits. As always, I'm Shannon Smith, and this is Quick Hits. Can't fall off, now they holler he'll turn, thinking I'ma sell out, talking just to feel heard. I never listen, although they say it's strictly